Welcome back, everyone, to Coins Numismatic Series, the channel where history, artistry, and hidden treasures inside your pocket change come alive. Today, we are diving deep into the world of Washington quarter dollars, one of the most iconic and widely collected coins in American history. In today's video, we'll focus on three standout pieces that deserve the spotlight in any serious collector's journey. These are not just ordinary coins, they each carry unique histories, quirks, and potential value that separate them from the loose change rattling in your drawer. Strap in, because this journey is going to open your eyes to why some quarters are more than just 25 cents. 1979 Washington quarter dollar coin. The year 1979 was significant for the United States Mint. While the spotlight that year often shines on the Susan B. Anthony dollar's debut, the Washington quarter quietly continued its decades-long role as one of America's most trusted and recognized coins. But within the familiar design of George Washington's profile, the 1979 quarter carries nuances that make it stand out. Historical context. By 1979, the Washington quarter had already been in circulation for nearly half a century. It was first struck in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Originally designed as a one-year commemorative, the quarter became so popular that it permanently replaced the standing Liberty quarter. Fast forward to the late 1970s, America was facing high inflation, rising costs, and a changing economic landscape. Coinage production was adapting to massive demand, and the U.S. Mint was working overtime. It was also a transitional time in numismatics. Silver had disappeared from quarters after 1964, replaced with a copper-nickel-clad composition. By 1979, collectors were well aware of the dramatic shift in intrinsic value. Coins were no longer tied to precious metals but to historical and collectible interest. Design features. The obverse of the 1979 quarter shows John Flanagan enduring portrait of George Washington, facing left. His profile is bold, dignified, and instantly recognizable. The inscriptions include Liberty at the top, In God We Trust to the left, and the year 1979 at the bottom. A mint mark, if present, appears to the right of Washington's ponytail, just above the date. The reverse continues to feature the heraldic eagle design, a majestic bird with wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches. The inscriptions include United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. This reverse design had been in use since 1932, and by 1979, it was an American classic. Mintage. The 1979 quarter was struck at three major mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Philadelphia struck over 515 million pieces, Denver produced over 489 million, and San Francisco contributed proof issues. The combined mintage exceeded 1 billion, making this one of the more common years. However, despite the high numbers, collector demand has singled out certain varieties. Proof coins from San Francisco, especially those with the Type 1 and Type 2s mint marks, generate the most excitement. In 1979, the U.S. Mint transitioned between two styles of mintmark punches. Type 1 features a filled, blurry-looking S, while Type 2 shows a sharper, clearer S. Collectors prize the Type 2 variety, particularly in high-grade proof condition. Market value. In circulated condition, a 1979 quarter is generally worth only face value due to its massive mintage. However, in uncirculated mint state grades, values rise steadily. Mint state 65 examples can fetch several dollars, and superb gems with high grading from PCGS or NGC can reach higher premiums. The real value lies in proofs, especially the 1979 S-Type 2 proof. Depending on condition and certification, these can command strong prices. Deep cameo and ultra cameo proofs add further premiums because of their contrast and eye appeal. Errors. Errors are where the 1979 quarter becomes especially interesting. Collectors have documented doubled dies, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets. Doubled dies may appear on the obverse lettering, such as Liberty or In God We Trust. Off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing due to misalignment, can command significant premiums depending on how much of the design is missing and whether the date remains visible. Another error variety involves improper planchet preparation, resulting in coins with missing layers or unusual coloring. Such errors transform a common coin into a rare find worth hundreds of dollars to the right collector. Collector interest. The 1979 quarter stands at the crossroads of modern and classic numismatics. While it is common in circulation, its proof varieties and errors make it a rewarding coin for specialists. For beginner collectors, it's an accessible entry point. For advanced collectors, it offers a chance to chase high-grade examples and rare varieties like the Type 2 proof. The broader context of 1979 also adds appeal. This was the same year the Susan B. Anthony dollar debuted, creating one of the most distinctive coin eras in U.S. history. Collectors who appreciate thematic sets often link the 1979 quarter with its dollar counterpart, seeing it as part of the wider story of America's coinage evolution. 1969 Washington Quarter Dollar Coin. When we talk about the 1969 Washington Quarter, we're looking at a coin from one of the most fascinating decades in American history, the 1960s. From civil rights movements to space exploration, the late 1960s were years of change, and that energy even touched coinage. The Washington Quarter of 1969 stands out as a piece that reflects economic shifts, minting innovations, and era varieties that command incredible collector attention. Historical context. By 1969, America had already undergone a massive transformation in coinage. The Coinage Act of 1965 had eliminated silver from quarters, replacing them with the copper-nickel-clad composition we still use today. The move was controversial but necessary. Soaring silver prices had made it impractical to continue minting quarters with precious metal content. The 1969 quarter was struck in the heart of this transition, a few short years after the switch. Collectors in the late 60s were beginning to realize that earlier silver quarters would hold long-term value, while clad quarters would require different collecting strategies. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was ramping up production to meet the needs of a growing economy. Design features. Like other Washington quarters of the era, the obverse displays Flanagan profile of George Washington. The portrait remains the centerpiece, with inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year, 1969. The mintmark placement is the same, just above the date near Washington's ponytail. The reverse features the heraldic eagle, a design admired for its strength and classical look. By 1969, this design had become synonymous with American coinage. Though unchanged from earlier versions, subtle die wear and strike quality variations add nuances for sharp-eyed collectors. Mintage. The 1969 Washington Quarter was struck in Philadelphia, no mintmark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S. Philadelphia produced over 176 million coins, Denver struck more than 114 million, and San Francisco issued proofs. The overall mintage was significant, though not as high as later years in the 1970s and beyond. Still, circulation strikes are common. The real scarcity emerges in pristine mint state examples and in certain proof varieties. Market value. Circulated 1969 quarters are usually worth face value. But as always in numismatics, condition makes all the difference. Mint state 65 examples can be valued in the range of $10 to $25, with higher graded examples commanding much more. Proofs from San Francisco, especially deep cameo pieces, are highly collectible. The rarity of perfect strikes and strong cameo contrast means that certified PR 69 or PR 70 examples can fetch hundreds of dollars. Where the 1969 quarter gets really interesting is in its era coins, which can command eye-popping prices. Errors. The 1969 Washington Quarter is home to some of the most dramatic and desirable minting errors of the clad era. The most famous is the 1969 D double die obverse. This variety shows striking doubling in the inscriptions, particularly in Liberty and In God We Trust. It's one of the most significant double die quarters, and examples can sell for thousands of dollars depending on grade. Off-center strikes are also known for 1969 quarters, with some dramatic misalignments commanding collector premiums. Clipped planchets, die cracks, and even broad strikes add to the range of collectible errors. Perhaps most tantalizing for collectors is the ongoing rumor and search for transitional errors. While no confirmed silver 1969 quarters have surfaced, collectors continue to examine coins for unusual compositions or weight variations that might suggest a rare mistake. Collector interest. The 1969 quarter is a fascinating collectible because it represents the early years of clad coinage, a turning point in U.S. minting history. While ordinary examples are common, the allure of double die errors makes this year especially attractive to serious collectors. For beginners, the 1969 quarter offers an affordable way to add an older piece of circulating coinage to their collection. For advanced collectors, the thrill lies in searching for high-grade proofs, deep cameos, or elusive double dies. Numismatically, the 1969 quarter bridges two worlds, the fading silver era and the new clad reality. That balance makes it a coin with lasting historical significance. 1989 P. Washington Quarter Dollar Coin. At first glance, the 1989 P. Washington Quarter might seem like just another modern clad coin, the kind you'd find in pocket change without giving it a second thought. But beneath its ordinary appearance lies a story worth telling. This coin captures the end of an era before the 1990s brought massive changes to U.S. coinage. With its Philadelphia P. mint mark, the 1989 P. quarter has unique details and collecting intrigue that make it more than meets the eye. Historical context. The late 1980s were a time of transition for the U.S. Mint. The Washington quarter had been in continuous use since 1932, and by 1989, its classic eagle reverse was nearing its final decade. Just a few years later, the state quarters program would forever change the design, creating one of the most popular collecting crazes in modern history. So, the 1989 P quarter stands at a crossroads. It was struck during the quiet years before the explosion of public interest in quarters. That means it's often overlooked, but collectors who dig deeper find rewarding stories hidden in its details. Design features. The obverse features the familiar portrait of George Washington by John Flanagan. By 1989, dies have been retooled several times, and subtle design differences can be spotted by specialists. The inscriptions remain the same: Liberty, In God We Trust, and 1989. The P mint mark appears above the date, signifying the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse still shows the heraldic eagle, an enduring design that had been in use since 1932. By the late 1980s, die wear and mass production sometimes resulted in weaker strikes, making sharp details harder to find. High-grade coins with strong detail on the eagle's feathers are especially prized. Mintage. The Philadelphia Mint produced more than 512 million quarters in 1989, making this a high mintage coin. That abundance explains why circulated examples are so common today. However, despite the massive numbers, not many coins survived in pristine condition. Bulk handling, poor storage, and circulation all took their toll. That's where certified mint state coins become valuable. In particular, MS-66 and higher examples are difficult to find, and their population reports from grading services like PCGS and NGC remain relatively low. Market value. In circulated condition, the 1989 P quarter is worth its face value. But in mint state grades, the story changes. MS-65 examples can fetch $10 to $20, while MS-66 and higher can climb much higher, sometimes reaching several $100s. What really sets certain 1989 P quarters apart are the error varieties. Like other years, minting mistakes add excitement and value. Errors. Collectors have identified double dies among 1989 P quarters, particularly on the obverse inscriptions. These varieties are relatively scarce and can command strong premiums when certified. Off-center strikes also exist, with coins missing large portions of the design yet retaining a full date. Such errors often sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on severity. Another known error involves die breaks, where cracks in the dies result in raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the coin. These so-called cuds are fascinating for error collectors and make otherwise ordinary coins unique. Collector interest. The 1989 P quarter holds special appeal because it represents the tail end of the classic Washington quarter design era. Collectors know that just a decade later, the state quarters program would completely transform the series, drawing millions of new hobbyists into coin collecting. For beginners, the 1989 P is a reminder that even coins from recent decades can hold value if preserved in top condition. For advanced collectors, the hunt for high-grade examples and dramatic errors makes it a worthy addition to a Washington quarter collection. Numismatically, the 1989 P quarter embodies the overlooked charm of modern clad coinage. It shows that even in an era of mass production, rarity can be found in quality, errors, and the historical moment a coin represents. So, there you have it, the top 3 Washington quarter dollar coins that deserve a closer look. The 1979, the 1969, and the 1989 P. Each of these coins tells a unique story, from the economic challenges of the 1970s, to the clad transition of the 1960s, to the overlooked gems of the 1980s. What makes them truly exciting isn't just their face value, it's the history they carry, the errors that surprise us, and the collector demand that keeps growing year after year. If you've got loose change lying around, take a moment to look closely. You might just discover that what you thought was ordinary is actually extraordinary. This is the magic of numismatics, and it's why we love exploring coins here on Coins Numismatic Series. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into coin history and collecting. Until next time, happy collecting!